Hi, everybody, and thank you once again for listening to us here on the SwitchCast, the podcast for the Switch enthusiasts, I guess we'll call this for now.
Well, yeah, we'll figure out a tagline for it.
Yeah, we'll think of a cooler, catchphrase for us, though, in the future. But yes, we are back for episode 2 here. We're recording November 10th, 2016. I'm your host, KC, and with me is your other host, because you're not just a co-host, you are partner host.
Partner host.
Mr. JV.
Hi guys, JV here, ready to talk about some Switch news.
Yeah, because, co-host, that just makes you sound like you're like a subordinate, you know? You know what I mean?
And I ain't no subordinate.
Damn right, you're your own man.
I'm my own man, I don't need no man. But, you know what? I do need myself a Switch.
Yes.
Very soon.
This is such a weird situation because I'm so much of the mindset of when something like this is coming that I really want, I just forget about it. I switch off that part of my brain and I don't think about it. I had to do that for Final Fantasy 14. I wanted to forget it existed for the 3 years it took to come to PS3.
Right. That makes sense. Throughout the years, you've always been the type of person to try not to get hyped about something before it comes out.
Yeah, I just want to.
That's always been kind of how you were.
I just want to forget it exists, and then one day I'm like, "Oh, cool! It comes out tomorrow, and I will buy it! Yay!" Nope, not here. Now I got to be excited and look at every detail as it comes out.
Yeah, I know. This is a lot easier for me since I've always been the type of person to, follow along with everything that's about to come up soon. I've always, surround myself with all of the hype and follow all the Reddit, subreddits, and all that stuff. So,
but then you come to me in like the chat room, it's like, "Will you squee with me?" And then you show me your newest character from Heroes of the Storm. It's like, I need someone else to be excited about this with me.
It's true. I do. I get super hyped up, and this is, I think a lot of people feel the same way, and that's why they would be looking for a podcast like this.
Yeah, I know. I'm thinking of this now as our support group because honestly, we're really getting quite a following here in just the first episode and just these first couple of weeks since we posted it. We're just kind of snowballing with a lot of people who just want to be hyped together,
every new experience like this, every new console, every new platform or game that's coming out, everyone likes experiencing hype in a group, Mm-hmm. You can be excited about something and, that you can keep the excitement to yourself, but it's always fun to feed off of everyone else's excitement as well.
Right.
So
let's go into our new format that we have, at least our trial format, we'll say, for the show.
Yeah, well, none of this is definite for sure, but
right.
Yeah, well, we're trying it out.
So we're going to start off with our cast meta, and this is just stuff about the podcast and the SwitchCast in general and things we're doing. And we have a couple things just want to segue into here, mainly our community channels that have started and have already kind of, like I mentioned, been snowballing. We have a Twitter now that's at the SwitchCast, and we're already up to 250 followers over there.
Yeah, that's really impressive considering how new we are as a Twitter person.
Yeah, well, I've never really hit it that hard before, but I've really been, reaching out there, and they've been they've been finding us just as fast as I've been trying to find the others there. The Facebook group I'm very excited about. We have the SwitchCast Facebook group that has over 100 people in it, and I see a lot of potential for the Facebook group just in terms of not just like posting stuff, but like organizing things.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. I'm really excited about how active our Facebook group has become. And, there's something really special about having everyone contribute with their real names. It makes them seem like real people coming together to be excited about something. Mm-hmm, and the fact that we went with the Facebook group instead of, just a like page allows us to, in the future, plan events, tournaments, and all that type of fun stuff that a group can do that, like pages don't really have.
Yeah, definitely. I'm glad you suggested that, and I'm glad we started that up. And yeah, I'm definitely going to see, like, there's already people who are like, Mario, like asking me about, we should do like Mario Kart parties, where we just all playing online together. Like that alone, or Monster Hunter if that comes out. Great way to link up with other players.
Yeah, I know. Back with our Pocket Players podcast, we had a like page on Facebook, and it would only ever really be us contributing, stuff out there every once in a while. But with a Facebook group, that allows you guys to contribute your own questions to the community. Mm-hmm. It allows you guys to initiate interaction with everyone else in the group, and I think it's really the best way for us to go to foster a community of Switch enthusiasts,
Yeah, definitely. We're going to talk more. We have a whole section dedicated to our community pulse coming up at the end of the episode, so we'll just shelve that for now. We also have a YouTube channel. All it is right now is just going to be this podcast posted up with a couple little visual aids, but some people honestly prefer to listen to podcasts on YouTube for some reason. If you're listening to this on YouTube right now, tell me why. I never get it, but just it's like even my like GCP Gray, he has one of the best podcasts, Hello Internet, and he says like I don't get it, but people like my YouTube channel that's just this podcast dwarfs my actual podcast iTunes feed. I don't get it.
Well, I think it's just the ease of access. YouTube, you can just pull up in a separate tab and, play the podcast while you're doing something else. I actually listen to podcasts on YouTube every once in a while, too. And, it's a lot easier to get certain topics suggested to you on YouTube. Because you can just go on strings of suggested videos and end up landing on our website. So.
Right. Yeah.
That tends to happen.
I guess going along with that, yes, we do have our iTunes page set up now, so that's available if you want to subscribe. Or a lot of people told us about Pocket Casts and Stitcher. I've never heard of either of those. Were those something that you knew about before we got involved here?
Pocket Casts and Stitcher, they're kind of like, podcast repositories for places that aren't on Apple.
Okay.
Like Pocket Cast and Stitcher, they're iTunes stores for Android or any other platform. So
okay,
it's good for us to branch out from just iTunes.
Yeah. And we have, I think the coolest thing we got, just for style purposes, we have a new logo, our official SwitchCast symbol, which is pretty cool.
It's looking pretty sexy. I like how sleek and simplistic it is, but it's very obviously Switch.
Yeah. It not only is it Switch in the sense of the Nintendo Switch, it looks like it's, definitely clearly related to that. But you noticed that subtle thing that the artist added to it that was really cool, like little mind blow. Like he snuck that in.
Yeah, when I saw our logo, we had a special artist who made it for us, and when I saw the logo, I noticed that it bore some similarities to the Switch symbol in electrical engineering and circuitry.
Yeah, or if you've done
kind of awesome to
physics, you'll also recognize
and physics. Exactly, and I thought, layers. Yeah. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah. All right. So, that is our site stuff. A lot of stuff cool there, but that's not really what you guys are here for. You guys are here to find out what's going on with the Switch. So why don't we shift gears and get right into some news roundup, shall we?
Let's do it.
Okay. So obviously this is the section where we're going to go down the major news stories of I would normally say this month or this week, but we don't know how often we're going to be doing this podcast right now. But there happen to be a ton of little pieces of info that have come in every couple of days since the trailer released. So I guess the biggest thing that people wanted to know is when the Switch is coming out. And our current info on the date is March 17th, at least in the PAL region, but worldwide the same week. Not the same day, but worldwide that same week we should be getting the Switch.
That's actually a pretty big deal since we were mostly given just a March 2017 release date or release window. And now that we have a bit more of a concrete timeline, it's a lot. It feels a lot more real now.
Yeah, right. Just having a date. Obviously we didn't think it was going to come out before Christmas, but it is just a little bit of, it is kind of, it feels weird for a new console that they're really trying to push. I guess timing just didn't work out right for them. I'm sure they would have loved to have had it in time for Christmas, but it's just a little weird to like be waiting for my real Christmas gift, several months thereafter.
It's almost exactly a month after my birthday, so I'll take it. Yeah. I'll take it.
I've seen so many people tweeting that it's on their birthday, or I think also St. Patrick's Day's around then too.
Yeah, so green drinks and Switches.
Yes.
Seems about right. But there is another date that I'm actually a little bit more excited for other than the release. January 12th is apparently a day where Nintendo is going to announce more official info on the Switch itself.
Right. So supposedly they're keeping a tight lip on everything until then. I get the impression that they don't want their partners to be telling too much more info, but they're all, they're not holding their tongues as tightly. But yeah, they're going to have some presentation. They're going to let people have hands-on with the Switch that date too, it sounds like. So we'll probably get a first real, opinions on it at that point.
Yeah, I think that's actually a really good day to start releasing more hard info on this thing. Because it's pretty much 2 months out from the release date. It lets them take some feedback and starts building up the hype again after the holiday season.
Right.
Where I'm sure they're going to want to, do the final push in the Wii U.
Right. Because, people definitely have to have that breathing room from spending. Like, you're going to be spending a ton of money. You need that time. You're like, okay, I got my finances in order. I've seen so many people who are already talking about how they're basically starting like a money jar of like saving up their cash to buy it.
Yeah. And January 12th is a really good time from now, especially.
Yeah.
Because it's 2 months until January 12th, and then another 2 months until the release. So we got 4 months to go, guys.
Now, we have no info on the price. I have no solid info, and I am trying to steer away from any like speculative rumors that don't have any kind of any substantiation or have any kind of source
basis.
Info. Yeah. But it seems at least like a lot of the analysts and some of the hints have been it looks like the system will cost somewhere in the $300 to $350 realm is what people have been suggesting. Now that might have there were some, like I said, there was a thing in like Wall Street Journal or Bloomberg News that were making those suggestions, but there were also a lot of false info going around. I just want to make sure people understand, if you saw something that said that there were bundles, like they were talking about Zelda and Mario bundles that were so-and-so price, that was probably just false, because there was a story going around that said that, and they were all referencing other websites. Like every website was like, oh yes, I heard on PlaySuperGamesToday.com that this is the price. And then that site would link to another site. And then they all eventually led back to one site that just basically made up the story and then cited some reporter as the source. Laura Kay, actually. She's this freelance gaming journalist. They all cited her, but she never said that. And I checked that out. Yeah, that's the case. So don't buy any news about the price you heard. Yeah,
that's the thing. At this point, there's so little substantiated news that people can put out any story and people will just latch onto it.
Really, I'm fighting a lot of these things. A lot of people are like, no, there's been this rumor going around forever. We're pretty sure. Like right now, I just right before we started recording, someone was talking about saw Pokken Tournament 2 they're talking about. And I'm like, where did you hear that? Oh, it's been a rumor going around forever. Yeah, but where is it coming from? Or did just somebody say that and now everyone just thinks it's true because they heard it from someone else?
Yeah, exactly. It's really hard to sift through all of the fake stories at this point.
Right.
And I would definitely advise being as skeptical as possible until that January 12th date.
But I only reason I bring that is because I do want people to know I do not report things on here that don't have a legitimate source of info. All right? Like they're either some like a established reporter who I trust enough to give this info to you.
Right. And that's really just how we should go about this. We shouldn't really be peddling false or unsubstantiated rumors.
Okay. So moving on, the size. Now, they mentioned that the number of systems they wish to ship worldwide is about 2 million consoles at launch.
2 million seems like a pretty respectable amount, and I think that's not the worst expectation.
The Wii U, it looks like, let me see. Yeah, that sold about 800,000 systems in the first fiscal year. So,
yeah.
I mean, keep in mind the Wii U's the Wii U, wasn't a terribly successful system, but now they've also stated that this system is really the future of Nintendo. If it doesn't sell like crazy good, Nintendo is a company. Be done. Yeah, Nintendo could. Yeah, it could be in very serious trouble. I won't even say Nintendo will be done because I fear that too much. I don't want to jinx it, but that is a possibility.
Right, and you know, I feel like the climate is very positive for the Switch compared to the Wii U itself.
Very much so.
There's so many diehard Nintendo fans who were even kind of tepid on the Wii U on its announcement. Mm-hmm. And the Switch seems to be tapping into markets even outside of Nintendo diehards. So it's looking pretty good. I think they can hit that 2 million unit goal.
Have you looked at the partners list that they shared around?
Oh, absolutely. And this is an incredibly exciting aspect of speculation here. Mm-hmm, we have a number of a sampling of Nintendo Switch partners that seem to be on board with the Switch, and it's a really hefty list of partners.
Right. Now, not all of these are definite people who are making third-party games, but they're people who have signed on to do something. Some of these are just, companies that might have licenses for people to use, but a lot of them are obviously companies that they're game makers, and that's what they're going to be doing. And there's a couple of interesting ones here. Namely, Level 5 is on board there, and we know them from making all the greatest 3DS games, right?
Right, exactly.
Spike,
and
Spike Chunsoft, they point out, because they made some of my favorite Vita games, even the ones I kind of complained about, like Trigger Happy Havoc. And
really,
they made and so like that would be interesting if that game was on the same system side by side with like the next Phoenix Wright title, Like,
oh yeah, that would be incredible.
Yeah, like a very dark and bloody murder mystery game next to Phoenix Wright's kind of, lighthearted world.
Now, on the more technical side, I'm actually pretty excited that Epic Games and Unity are on board here. Because hopefully, what made the Wii U so difficult to promote and develop for is that it's just a weird platform that doesn't really adapt well to other systems. Like if a developer were to develop a game for the PS4, it's a lot more easy to port that over to the Xbox One or the PC, that type of stuff. And Unity and Epic Games, who are in charge of the Unreal Engine.
Yes.
Having those engines so readily available in the Switch is really promising for games, the third-party developers bringing games from other consoles to the Switch. It's essentially an engine compatibility situation, and it really bodes well for those companies bringing in games from other platforms.
Now, that's interesting that you mentioned that, because one of the stories that we did want to talk about is Konami did make a mention that they are interested in bringing some of their games cross-platform to it. Didn't say anything about like an original title, but that's one of the things that people are concerned about a little bit is, will they transfer adequately from an Xbox One, let's say, to the less powerful Switch? Are they going to be like, is it going to be a smooth transition? And is that the kind of thing that this is going to help along with?
Yeah, right, exactly. I really do think that it will. Especially with Epic Games, they're the ones that are in charge of Unreal Engine. Okay. And Unreal Engine is it's an engine that most of the AAA titles use.
Okay.
And it's something that not even the Wii U had support for. So having them on the partner list really opens that bridge to bring those AAA titles from the other console to the Switch itself.
Well, that is one of the problems Nintendo's had in the past is, when you had the Wii and you had its, cool controller system, and even somewhat with the Wii U, was third parties didn't have an easy time getting onto that system from, because every company, they make their big AAA title for like a PlayStation 3 or 4, but at the same time, like, yeah, but now you really can't bring it to the Wii because they have this weird different controller system that doesn't necessarily match up with this, or unless someone buys this accessory, it's not worth it. I don't want to bring games there because it's a big hassle. Whereas now, that's an option.
Exactly, yeah. It's kind of ridiculous because back in the Wii days, there would be Call of Duty and all the really big name games on the PlayStation and Xbox consoles. But the Wii had some neutered version of the game that focused on waggle controls.
Right.
Nobody really liked.
It was just, you'd have to do, as a company, double the work to just bring this game over, when it's like, all right, is it really worth all this work to bring it to this one system when it's just going to transfer like a breeze from, PlayStation to Xbox?
Right, exactly. And in some cases, these developers created a totally brand new game that was nowhere near as good as the big name title that they really wanted to push. So
Right. So
here's hoping.
That's interesting to hear, though. And if we haven't made it, we should have done introductions, I guess, of ourselves. I think you put that in one of your notes, that we should have introduced ourselves. But let me just take this opportunity to say that JV is the tech guy of this pairing.
Yeah, a little bit. Just a little bit, man.
Right. Like, I mean, look, I know enough to get by, but JV is our in-depth, he knows the technical sides, and I'm going to be relying on him to explain to me what things like the next story might imply for people. Why don't you tell us, what does it mean that the Switch is going to have a 4 gigabyte RAM, system?
Okay, so the 4 gigabytes of RAM, that was definitely announced, and I believe it's relatively confirmed.
Yeah.
It's relatively confirmed, right? That the Switch is going to have 4 gigabytes of RAM.
Yes, this is from Emily Rogers. She is another freelance games journalist with sources that have been feeding her very accurate information in the past and have been doing so for this. So I think she's pretty spot on with most of her reports.
Right. And if we're to believe that this is the case, some people are concerned that 4 gigabytes of RAM isn't that much because, the PS4 and the Xbox One has 8 gigabytes of RAM to work with for their big, hefty console. So, if you don't know what RAM is, it's random access memory.
Processing power? Is that a way to put it?
Yeah, essentially. Okay. That's a good way to put it.
It's the power of the engine under the hood.
Right. And it's a little bit of a tricky situation since we don't really know how the Switch is going to be utilizing RAM.
Yeah.
It's a different tool set. It's meant to be a more portable platform. People might seem disappointed that it's half the power of a PS4 Xbox One, but it is double the Wii U at this point, and the Wii U is a pretty decently strong console.
That's an interesting point. Double the Wii U, which I guess, the hardest core console players were like, that's one of the reasons they didn't like it about the Wii U. Like, it's too weak. Why do I want to play that? So this is double what you're used to on there. And at the same time, I've heard and maybe you can like kind of verify this for me. Some of the reactions were that, it's less power, but the architecture, it's a mobile architecture they're using that's a lot more efficient.
Right. It's a very different chipset that would utilize RAM. So since it would be working with the NVIDIA Tegra chip, which is more dedicated to mobile platforms, it won't need quite as much RAM to process everything it needs to. If you think about it, the iPad Pro is a very, very powerful piece of technology that's portable, and it only has 4 gigabytes of RAM. So,
interesting comparison there. At the same time, again, if you can verify, a lot of the consoles don't actually use all that 8 gigs of RAM.
Exactly. So the PS4 and the Xbox One, they use about 6 gigabytes of RAM for the actual game processing itself. The other 2 gigabytes are used for internal processing and and everything else. So the fact that, for one, the Switch is going to use dedicated memory, and it won't need to read anything off of a disc, will improve the situation. It won't need quite as much RAM, and it's without knowing the whole architecture of the thing, we can't really judge whether 4 gigabytes is going to be a huge limitation. But personally, I'm looking pretty optimistic considering how tablet technology is nowadays.
Right. And I guess the last of the comparison is the fact that, again, I always say this isn't, if you're a hardcore console player, you're probably still going to want your Xbox One, your PS4. That's the hardcore console system, or your PC gamer where you're going to have 1 million gigabytes of RAM. All right. This is the console for someone who's either casually consoling and or hardcore mobile gaming. And that's an amazing amount for a portable system, and it's a casual amount, I'll say, for a home console. And that's who this is going to appeal to.
And honestly, I do actually believe that we can get some pretty hardcore looking and performing games with 4 gigabytes of RAM on a mobile chip. I don't think this is going to be as big of a deal as some people might be putting it out to be.
Okay. Also on these technical numbers and gigabyte size, they mentioned that the standard cart size will be 16 gigabytes. And that set off some people, but I do want to reiterate, I think some people miss the fact that is the standard cart size. Does not mean the cartridges have to be. They can be, like, people can cram in double that amount for games if need be.
Right. I know it's really hard to say anything about that right now.
Okay.
It really is, because if the standard cart's going to be about 16 gigabytes, that would be decently sized to fit a good, Mario game.
Well, to give an example, that special edition Skyrim that we saw in the trailer that came out recently for the consoles, that is a 20 gigabyte game.
Right.
Yeah, this is totally that is something that can be doable on these carts, either through some programming magic or just boosting, having a special cart with a little extra gigs in it.
Yeah, and who knows? Another good point that I forgot to mention about the 4 gigabytes of RAM thing.
Yeah.
If the system needs extra power to output to a TV, it's very possible that there's extra RAM built into the dock itself.
Interesting possibility.
So, who knows how that situation's going to go.
Okay, so we have confirmed, this is one of the things we talked about last week, whether it will or will not have a touchscreen. And it will actually have a touchscreen on the tablet piece.
Which is pretty good, which is kind of a contentious topic, because we weren't really sure about whether it would include a multi-touch screen in the first place.
Right.
I know originally I had a suspicion that there wouldn't be a touch screen.
You said you had a possible reason why you think it might, but I never got you to tell me what it was, because I sent you the story right after you wanted to say it.
So I suspected that they might not include a touchscreen, because if you place the screen on the dock itself, there is no touch interface whatsoever.
Okay.
So using a touch interface as the primary way to travel through the menu might be counterintuitive with interface design.
Okay.
If you don't have the tablet in front of you.
That's very interesting, because there's a piece. Now, this is something I didn't put this in the news because it's not confirmed, but this, if it is true, is something that would answer that concern of yours, because that's actually a really good point. Right. One of the analyses of the trailer suggested that there might be an infrared pointer on the Joy-Cons. Like, one of them might have basically the ability to point at the screen and act as a cursor, kind of like what you did with the Wii U, where you had the controller that could point, like in Mario Galaxy. One player could just point and basically have a cursor on the screen. That could act as your touch screen interface when it's in the dock, and just you're pointing at the screen with the infrared pointer, possibly.
So that theory would possibly imply that there would need to be a sensor bar, wouldn't it?
I don't know. Possibly.
Yeah. Now, the thing that we do know about the multi-touch screen is that it is a 10-point capacitive screen.
Yeah, that's something I need you to tell me about. What does that mean?
A capacitive screen is essentially, a fingertip sensitive screen that we have on our iPhones and iPads and Android phones right now. The Wii U screen and the DS screens use a resistive screen, which is completely dependent on pressure. So
okay.
It's going to feel more like our tablets, which feels nicer and we're used to at this point.
So that's why I can't use my finger on like a DS touchscreen. That doesn't work. I have to use a stick.
Yes, you have to use a stylus. You have
stylus.
To use the stylus.
Yeah. Okay, so, interesting.
And 10 points mean that you can have 10 points of contact with it, and it'll recognize all 10
So
points.
I can have both my hands touching things on the screen, and it will know every one of my fingers where they are.
Right, yeah. And it's 10 point. It's just like that on Android phones. On iPhones, you can only touch 5 points, and a 6th point won't be recognized. So
interesting. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Still in a little bit of the technical zone here, but now we have the identification that there's a USB-C charger port as a charge mechanism for when the tablet is not in the dock, as an alternate charge source, basically.
Oh my gosh, we're really going into the technical stuff here, aren't we?
I'm tearing this apart. I want to know. So, like, the main thing is, the reason I thought this was interesting enough is that people complain or worried about the battery life on this thing, right? How often do you have to charge it? And I've heard that this is a very, very fast type of charger connection. Like, this is how you're going to be able to recharge it fast. So even if the battery doesn't last for like 8 hours, you can plug it in and recharge it relatively quickly, as long as you can get to a power source every so often.
Right. The, I guess, quote-unquote bandwidth of a USB-C plug compared to standard mini USB or micro USB plugs is a lot higher. I know there's a lot of dependencies for that, just like the battery compatibility. But yes, USB-C is a really good step in the right direction for faster charging speeds.
Now, is that like a standard type of connection? Like, am I going to be able to like take that kind of connector from, I don't know, like my Vita, or I don't know, like, is this like a standard thing that I might have 10 of laying around? Or is this another thing that like, I lost my DS charger, I have to now buy another DS charger, I have nothing else I can use?
No, that's actually a really good point to bring up. USB-C is a more universal port. So it's a new technology that will need some time to pick up, but will be standard as the future rolls along.
Okay, no, that's cool, because that also means third-party like variants on it, ones that might have like I don't know, splitter cables to charge different ones at the same time. I don't know, but that's nice that since it's universal, there might be other accoutrements to connect to it. Accoutrement. All right. Done with the technical news, people. We got 2 little bits of interesting regular news here. One, if you're in Europe, technically you can pre-order your Switch from Game. I hate that name of a store.
It's literally just called Game.
Yeah. You can pre-order.
Let's go to Game.
They're listing the price as $999, which freaked people out.
Yeah, but it's definitely obvious that it's a placeholder.
Exactly.
Price. I think I'm pretty sure there's really no justification for that freak out.
It's just that you put it as that, because if you put it as $1,000 and then when it comes out it's $350, people are like, "Wee, that seems like a great deal now." If you put it as $1 and it comes out at $350, people are like, "What? This is super expensive."
Yeah, it's like when those companies don't have a release date, they just have a year, and they set it to December 31st, 2017.
But hey,
on their database.
If you want to pre-order it, Godspeed if you can pre-order it, because it might not be very easy to get this when it comes out.
Yeah, I remember when the Wii U came out, it was very difficult to get that console either.
Right.
Same with the Wii. Every single Nintendo release so far has been very difficult.
I swear, if you follow our Twitter, guys, I will tweet on there as soon as I hear anything about pre-orders being available anywhere.
Yeah, trust us, we're going to be on that real fast.
And I think the appropriate final piece of news to close this out with is, speaking of the Wii U, I guess I have no other way to put it, the death of the Wii U is the Nintendo is shutting down production of the system.
Yeah, I know they were hemming and hawing around this subject for a while.
Yeah, they denied people who were reporting on it like earlier this very week. They were saying, "Oh no, we have no plan to change our production."
Yeah, but no, it's officially announced now. It's all confirmed. I think it's pretty much a given.
Right. I mean, look, it wasn't a successful system. I liked it, but I didn't buy it. I wasn't hyped for it, and it's just doesn't have a place in my life.
Right.
And I just think that you have to know when it's time to just say, all right, calling it quits. We're focusing on the next step. This is going to be the success. We need to focus on the Switch and what other projects we have. We can't just keep dragging along this Wii U, which is just, it's just wasted effort and resources right now.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting revelation because I don't think they've ever announced the end of a production before their next console is released. I think
that's very interesting. Yeah, that's true.
When the Wii U was announced, the Wii U was still being produced.
Mm-hmm.
Well into the release of the Wii U console. I believe it was the same with the GameCube, and I think the DS lines are about the same as well.
Yeah.
You can definitely reach out to us and let us know if there are any specifics we're getting wrong. But
that sounds very solid and accurate, right? I think you played your Super Nintendo. You might have still had your Nintendo for a while, though. You had games coming out for it. Even Sega and Genesis and all the other systems in the world. You still had your one because there were people who were still playing it. But there were very few systems. I can't think of another one that was like just doing badly that they were like, okay, we're going to kill this now, but we'll have a new system out in the future. Right.
And now I have to clarify that I absolutely love my Wii U.
Mm-hmm.
I pretty much got every single game, big name Nintendo game that came out for it.
Yeah.
I do still play it today. But I actually really think this is a good thing for Nintendo. Them announcing that they're ending production on the Wii U makes me feel like they're going all in on the Switch.
Right. Yeah, that's it. It's all hands on deck. If you're with Nintendo, you're with the future. Come with us.
Yeah, and I think that the Switch is the natural progression of where the company has gone. Mm-hmm. And I think we should all, pay our respects to the Wii U.
Yeah.
And then move on to the future.
Every time I visited my friend and I played at his place, we played Splatoon and we played Hyrule Warriors. Those are the two games I played a lot of. We spent days just playing that there. I loved it. I thought it was a lot of fun, and those are games you can't find anywhere else. But yeah, it's holding back those games. It's the fact that like Splatoon, I think, is a brilliant game. I love it. But the fact that it's on this console and nowhere else right now is holding it back, I think, from becoming such a bigger phenomenon that it could be.
I agree. I disagree to an extent that it's the console itself is holding it back, but I do think that we can move on from the Wii U, right. And that's really where we should go.
All right. Now we're going to move on to our next section here. This is we're going to call New and Upcoming. Maybe we'll think of a cooler name for it in the future. But this is the section where we're just going to list off everything that's been announced, that's coming out, and we're going to reconfirm what games are slated for the Switch.
Yeah, and it's actually pretty cool that some companies are announcing stuff for this console.
Yeah, we need something.
This early.
We need something to talk about on this podcast until it comes out. We got still months to go. If there's no leaks, we have no show for you people.
Yeah, it's true. But, we can just start off this with Ubisoft's little announcement.
Oh,
apparently, it's confirmed that a Just Dance is coming out for the Switch.
That's going to be great for playing on the train, I got to say.
Oh, yeah. Just Dance on the Switch.
Yeah.
Which, it's kind of expected. They always shell out those silly dance games in every console that comes out ever.
Right.
But and I'm wondering whether that might hint at motion control compatibility with Joy-Con stuff.
Oh, so. That's true. That is true. I am curious if they're going to have some kind of waggle functionality, and Just Dance is all about, like, that's how they work, is with motion sensing and just doing the hands, because it doesn't do the camera thing like the Xbone does.
Yes, but, if it's just follow along with the movements of the screen, it's something that's really easy to port to any console, so we'll see.
They also noted that there's going to be a surprise title revealed in the future.
That's actually, it's interesting that they push it out as a surprise title, since... the expected titles from Ubisoft are like Assassin's Creed, that type of stuff.
Right.
But by saying it's a surprise title, it allows everyone to be a bit more speculative with what might be coming out.
Oh, I see. That's how you're reading it. I gotcha.
Yeah, I think so. If it's, no,
that makes sense.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's something so common.
Right. No, that makes sense. And I'm not sure. I think I mentioned this on the Pocket Players podcast, but they did. There was some people who piece together that they are possibly working on a new Beyond Good and Evil game after they started doing some trademark registrations, which is usually how people find out about things like this.
Right.
And that would be a surprise in that it's out of the blue. As much as Beyond Good and Evil has been hailed as like one of those great cult classic games that people love, with a great heroine that is always listed on the top 10 female heroes in video games, but no one's really played or heard of it too much in the longest time. To have a sequel to that come out on the Switch would be a surprise and would get a lot of people excited. A small number, maybe not a lot of people, but it would get a small number of people very excited, I think.
Yeah, and I think the fact that it's such a well-known cult classic would be a good surprise for the Switch, and its notoriety with a small market might give it some recognition within a wider audience.
Yeah. So that's my money. Regarding the games that we saw in the trailer, we saw like the Skyrim and the NBA 2K17. We cannot confirm that those games are coming out. They specifically made announcement that like what you saw in the trailer is not games that were confirming. Even the Mario game that they mentioned, we saw. But I just think they're being coy, and they're waiting for a special day to say, make an announcement that Skyrim's, so it can make headlines again. That's what I just
January 12th, guys. January 12th. That's going to be the day where all of this is blown out of the water.
Right.
But I do agree. I'm pretty sure that Skyrim and NBA will be on there. There's no reason for them to add that to the trailer if there's not some sort of, partnership between those two companies.
I don't think that's the kind of thing Nintendo would do. And it would just cause bad vibes for no real reason to put those in there and then not actually have them on there. Or just become like, Gamergate stuff.
Oh my God. But regardless of that stuff, I really think there's no real reason not to think that Skyrim isn't going to come out on the Switch. Or NBA is going to come out on the Switch.
Yeah.
They're not... I'm pretty sure they're just giving themselves wiggle room in case, Bethesda has some technical issue that's preventing them from porting Skyrim over. But at this point, if it's possible, it's going to happen.
Yeah. Right, yeah. Technical thing would be the only thing I could see holding it back, but I'm confident they'll find a way. Like I said, it's a 20 gig game. There's no reason they can't find a way to put that onto those carts there and do a decent job of it too.
Yeah, I agree.
Let's see. The next one we got, a Nobunaga's Ambition for the strategy freaks out there.
Yeah, I've never actually played any Nobunaga game except for the Pokemon Nobunaga spin-off game that came out on the DS a long time ago.
There's so few Koei Tecmo games that I've actually been able to get into, because 90% of the games are super heavy strategy games, and that's what this is. And
there's a very dedicated audience for them, and this is probably really exciting news for those people. So
not for me, but hey, yeah, right, exactly.
If there was a point in my life where I actually really felt compelled to delve into that stuff, but man, they're so heady and so involved, and I don't know. I think I'm past that right now.
Right. We have reason to believe, according to Emily Rogers, that the Mario game we saw in the trailer will be a release title. I don't doubt it, only because it's a Mario game and it's a new system. There's going to be a Mario game with every Nintendo system release.
Well, yeah, I guess it doesn't seem like a guaranteed thing for me. I'm sure a Mario 3D title will come out for the Switch at some point. I'm not entirely convinced that a 3D game would be out during launch, but it's going to come out. You're going to get your Mario 3D game at some point.
Right. Well, her exact words also was, I wouldn't be surprised if Mario 3D ends up being a day one title launch instead of Zelda. That's all she can say on that, but it sounds like, if you want to read between the lines, that Zelda is a kind of a more complicated game that might have a little more chance of delays. They might be doing a little more catching up on finishing that game up or polishing off its edges, whereas Mario might be a little more straightforward game to develop and thus might a little more likely to actually be a launch title that can get together in time.
Yeah, well, this is pretty speculative at this point.
Yep.
We really don't know.
Okay. I saw a Kickstarter. First Kickstarter I saw for a Switch game.
Cool.
Nothing amazing. It still kind of looks, it wasn't, the Switch was just one of their stretch goals and they reached it, but it's called Dungeon of Zaar, Zaar. It's just a tactics style strategy game. It kind of reminds me of a mobile game. It's not a spectacular game, but I don't know, just like to see that people are already getting on there and, trying to make some kickstart, some indie titles for it right off the bat. Right. Some of those indies are the ones that are the most memorable in the world, honestly.
Yeah, and, the fact that they are at least relatively committed to pushing something onto the Switch is, I feel like it warrants us covering this stuff.
Yeah.
At some point, if we can, I would like to reach out to these Kickstarter developers or indie developers and see if they, their reasoning for wanting to get on the Switch train.
Oh yeah, that's actually an extremely good idea. We should definitely do that. You want to go down the list of the all the other games that we've confirmed as Switch titles?
Sure. So obviously, Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild, pretty much confirmed for the Switch. Splatoon Switch, that might be a re-release of the old Wii U game or a new game entirely.
Right, yeah. No way to know
so far.
Basically, based on the video and what we've seen so far, right?
Yeah, so Mario Kart Switch also, presumably coming out, though we don't know if it's going to be a re-release of Mario Kart 8 or a new game. Mm-hmm. There's going to be a Sonic game.
Yep. All we know on that is that it's coming out at the same time as it's coming out for some, the other consoles. It's the same creators as Mario, Sonic Colors and Sonic Generations.
Which is, in my opinion, the best Sonic games that have been released over the past 5 to 10 years.
Okay.
I loved Sonic Colors and I loved Sonic Generations, so the fact that it's coming from that team is promising to me.
Cool.
Yeah, so apparently maybe the Dragon Quest X, the MMO Dragon Quest,
yes,
might be out for the Wii or for the Switch.
Well, they did announce that actually, because this is an old announcement that they mentioned that back when it was still called the NX, they said that they were going to be releasing it for the NX a while back. So it is confirmed coming out for the system. Whether it's coming for US release, because this was also on the Wii U. And it didn't come to the U.S. It was only an Asian title. So it'll exist, but whether or not we can play it is up in the air.
Yeah, I wouldn't hold my breath too much on that one, but
I do love it. I do love the system of it, though. It has a really great character customization system where, you just look like such. It almost reminds me of if you play the Dragon Ball Z games lately, that you make all the different
Xenoverse.
Yeah, all those ones where you really make the different alien races for your characters and they just look so different. It has a similar, it's the same artist, so it's based on the same art style. it has that feel to it. Like just so many cool ways to make your character. That alone gets me into a lot of MMOs.
I've heard about it, but I don't really know too much, and I've heard pretty good things. So
yeah.
And then Dragon Quest 9,
11.
Oh, Dragon Quest 11.
Learn your Roman numerals.
I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Yeah, Dragon Quest 11 supposedly slated for May 27th.
Yep.
2017.
Yep.
I think that's the first Switch game announced that has a relatively set release day.
Yeah.
Right? So there you go.
If there's no other RPGs announced for it, I might play that because I might need an RPG because I want to test out how I enjoy playing different types of games on this. And I'm really for RPGs. RPG is one of the few genres I like playing at home. So having that option, I'm going to probably have to try it out just to see how, I can incorporate RPGs back into my life in, the hybrid form here.
I think, the Switch is so great for that. Mm-hmm. You can fit it into most lifestyles.
Mm-hmm. And final one is, I don't know if anyone is familiar with the SteamWorld series of games. There are these platformers with kind of a cowboy, steampunk kind of setting. And it doesn't have a title, but we know that one is coming out for the Switch of the SteamWorld series.
So yay, Steam.
No, we didn't get actual Steam, sadly, which is one of
SteamWorld.
Yeah, there you go. Hey guys, Future KC checking in here. Just wanted to fill in one missing piece of news that I just forgot to transfer to the show notes because it happened this morning. But Smash Brothers has been confirmed to be a Switch title, and it looks like it's going to be a port of the Wii U version, but with all the DLC that's available for the Wii U already included. Whether it's going to have additional DLC for future editions or more expansions is yet to be seen, and it's probably not going to be a launch title, so we might have to wait a little longer than March before we get to play it, but it is something that's coming to the system. All right, just want to make sure you got that. Thanks. All right, so that's all the new and upcoming stuff. Let's bring this all together with the Community Pulse, and this is the section where we're just going to kind of go over the general, opinions, what people are talking about on, the social networks, what's the general vibe of the community at large. And we're going to top this off with the fact that, so we had a lot of reactions to the Switch trailer that were, we recorded that show like the night it came out, so we didn't even have a time to take in what people thought of it at large.
Yeah, and apparently about the 23 million people watched that trailer.
Yes,
which is huge.
That is some crazy amount of attention to get.
Yeah, and it bodes well for the general interest of this console. I don't think this much interest was garnered from the Wii U whatsoever.
No, everyone's talking about the Switch, whether it's good or bad. Honestly, like even though the comments, and I even personally took a look at this, and I grabbed like 20 random comments from the millions long comment list, and the vast majority of them are just totally hyped and stoked. There's some haters, of course. There's a lot of people who just thought it was a stupid. They're like, this doesn't make any sense. And there was a lot of random complaints. People freaked out about the power level when we learned about the RAM. Some people who were like, no, that's fine. I'm excited about 4. I'm excited that it's twice as power than the Wii U. And others are like, no, it's nothing compared to an Xbox 360 or Xbox One. God, I get those numbers mixed up.
Yeah, it's silly. It's a silly numbering system.
Yeah,
on that side. Right. But you shouldn't worry about the power of a system quite yet, especially not this early. We don't know the architecture of the system yet, and you just gotta wait and see.
Yeah, right.
At this point, I guess one of the things that I saw when it comes to the reaction to the trailer and reaction to the Switch announcement itself, I was very excited to hear that the Final Fantasy 15 director expressed some sort of interest in the Switch. I'd really, really love for a good 3D Final Fantasy to be out for this thing.
I would probably play it again if it came out, because I haven't played 1. I played 14, but I skipped. I didn't finish 12. I skipped 13. 14 I played only because it was that MMO, and I played on the PS3. But I have no interest or information on 15. But you know what? I would play 1, whatever. I'd give the series a try again if it came on Switch, definitely.
I'm actually a little bit different than you on that part. I dove into Final Fantasy 15 like crazy. I watched the movie. I read through all the lore. I downloaded the demos on day 1. I am so in on Final Fantasy 15, and it looks incredible. And I'm excited if any sort of Final Fantasy 15 based content is brought over to the Switch.
Awesome. Again, he didn't say they are making anything, though they are better at keeping secrets than most other companies. But he just said he's very interested in developing for it, and I think I think there's a good chance of that. The company I am more excited personally about, Level 5, they stated that we'll work with it as soon as we figure out how to take advantage of it. Now that's a mysterious kind of quote. Obviously, it means they're not going to have any launch or even first 6-month titles, but that means what that says to me is that they know something about how this works that there is specifically to take advantage of.
Yeah, that was something that I wanted to bring up when it comes to this comment. This is the most, as weird as the portability of it is, this is the most straightforward console that Nintendo's released in a while. It doesn't have any crazy weird control schemes or waggle motions or anything like that. It's just a console that's portable. And I don't know right now, based on what's been announced, what is there to take advantage of.
Right. I trust them when they say it, though. Like, I know that means they either know something or they're trying to, do something with the fact that you can take it around and incorporate that somehow into the gameplay. Maybe they want to, do some sort of Ingress Pokemon Go thing with a game. I don't know. Maybe
it'll have to do with whether a game detects if it's docked or not.
Right.
But we'll really see about that. They could just be referring to taking advantage of the hardware, the capabilities of the thing.
Right.
We don't know.
Another interesting thing some people noticed in that trailer was there was no kids in it.
That is a really good point. It was filled with a bunch of millennials and young adults, which I actually liked that direction for the trailer.
Yeah, like they're not trying to they're not selling this for once as a kid's toy. They've been doing this for a while. I keep saying it like it's a new thing. Nintendo has been very gradually, steadily moving away from, where the kids system to, you can buy it for your kids, but hey, we have grown-up games too, and we're really trying to court you.
Right. It's, the age range of gamers nowadays are trending upwards. Mm-hmm. So there's really no reason to limit yourself to be a kid's console at this point.
Right.
It's pretty much just assumed that kids are going to play video games, and you just want to let it out there, let it be known that, adults can play video games too, and this is a console that can tailor to that crowd.
Now, some of the negative reaction, another one of the negative type of reactions has been people who feel that they have been abandoned by Nintendo. The loyal Wii U fans feel that they've supported it, they've invested in it, they've been buying virtual console games for it, yet now that it's cut off, especially, they're like, all right, Nintendo, what so we get punished because we backed the Wii U? I don't know. What do you think of that?
It's I can definitely feel their pain.
Uh-huh.
I bought a bunch of Wii U virtual console stuff myself, and I don't see them porting over those purchases to the Switch.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's tough. But that's just how every console is going to be at this point.
I have no reason to believe. Yeah, I mean, like I said, it was a tactical move. Nintendo had to do it for the company. If they held on to the Wii U longer than they need to, you got to think of the long term. They're doing this to save the company. Do you want there to ever be a Nintendo? Do you want the company to go under because you want to, the Wii U, it didn't succeed. They're sorry. I'm sure they wish it succeeded and they could give you 100 games for the rest of your life, but it didn't, and they have to do the thing to keep themselves afloat, and that that's it.
Yeah. They have to go all in on the Switch, I think.
Yeah, really, yeah.
And I don't think. Yeah, you're right. Nintendo wouldn't have wanted to abandon the Wii U. They don't want the Wii U to be a failure. Mm-hmm. But unfortunately, it didn't take off. So
that's it.
They're going to focus on what they think will.
Yeah. You know what I wish would take off? People calling it the Switch and would leave the NX name alone. Could we stop calling this the NX, please?
No, it's there's always going to be a subset of people that are hipster. I knew what this was before it was announced as the Switch.
Were you around when the GameCube came out? Were you alive? I forget how young you are.
Yes, I was alive.
Did anyone call it the Dolphin? Like when it came out? Do you know anyone who did that?
No, but the internet wasn't as prevalent back then.
Or was it? What was it? The Wii? The Wii U? Was it like Project Revolution? Yeah, right.
Yeah, the Wii was the Nintendo Revolution, and some people did keep calling it the Revolution after the Wii was announced. You really don't like it when people use the NX?
I just think move on. We have the actual name. It's not the NX. Here's my biggest problem. I have to worry about hashtags. And I'd like everyone to see my posts when I just write hashtag Nintendo Switch. But people are searching for NX, and they're going to miss my posts because they're not looking for the right system.
That's fair. I'm pretty sure at some point we're going to move on from the NX name.
Okay.
And go to the Switch. Who called it the Revolution after a while? There was a movement of people sticking with the Revolution name because they thought Wii sounded stupid.
Yeah.
And it does sound stupid. Okay. But after a while, the Revolution name went away. So this is going to go away too.
Excellent segue there in terms of the name for the Switch. We did a poll of the community. We got about 100 votes in total. I put polls up on both the Facebook group and on Twitter. And we asked people whether they thought the name was perfect, meh, and it's better than the Wii, or does throw the Switch in a ditch. And the overwhelming response, we got a 65% return. That Switch is a perfect name. People dig it. Dark Claw doesn't like it. A couple of people told me it was stupid, though. But they're not people who play games usually. The people who don't like the name aren't really game people. So,
right, okay,
their opinions don't matter.
I personally think that the Switch is a great name for it.
Yes.
Obviously, if we didn't like the name Switch, we wouldn't be naming this podcast the SwitchCast.
SwitchCast, yes.
But I think it's great. I think, it's very straightforward. It's something that you can make jokes about, but not really stupid jokes like the Wii. And the Switch is very, descriptive of what it can do.
There is a lot of fun ways to play with it. You could say this game is so magical. It's Switchcraft,
See, look.
That's good.
It's not like, I'm going to go take a Wii in the restaurant later,
Yeah.
Or are you waggling your Wiimote real hard right now or something? That type of stuff. The Switch is a lot more innocent and playful.
Yes, that's the word I'd use.
And it's very descriptive of what it is.
Right. It's excellent.
You can switch it from a home console to a portable console. And it's really elegant how that can be described in one word.
To finish it out, the 25% said it was a meh kind of name, and 10% did not like it entirely. All right. Why don't we answer the listeners' questions? I took a bunch of questions from people, and I think it'd be a good way to close out the show is to answer what the people have been asking us. And I can only pick out 2 for this show, but I'm saving up all your questions. So if we don't read your answers here on the show now, hold on tight. We might address it in a future episode because I'm sure we're going to have, quite a lot of questions, and some are just going to be answered for us tomorrow, and some we won't know the answers to for a while. So,
right, exactly.
Do you want to read one of these questions?
Sure. All right. So from Angelina Jolie Guzman, hilarious name. The question is, do you think there'll be any games like Wii Sports? What's going to be different that the PlayStation Vita hasn't had besides the games?
Okay, so just to clarify what that second one was, she went on to mention how the Vita was supposed to be the portable console, right? That's what the Vita was. It was a PlayStation that you could take with you. It had the power. It had the graphics. What is the real... And it was supposed to connect to your TV so you can, like, you know, switch back and forth your games. So what's really to divide this from the Vita? And that's almost a dangerous comparison when you think about what happened with the Vita, you know?
Yeah. So I guess we can start with the first one, which is definitely easier for us to answer.
Okay.
Do you think there'll be any games like Wii Sports?
Mm-hmm.
And I definitely think there will be.
Yeah.
Yeah. Every single console or, post Wii console that came out included a game with it. Wii Sports came out with a Wii. Nintendo Land came out with a Wii U. I think that's going to be a trend that's going to move on and to the Switch itself.
I think this goes back to what I said earlier about like Level 5 mentioning things to take advantage of that we don't know exist yet. I think there's going to be a game that there's going to be some really cool tools or features on this. Some people even been talking about, and people at Nintendo have mentioned that there's going to be a lot of accessories. Like, in fact, they said that all the things like the Joy-Con controllers, don't look at them as like part of the system. Look at them all as accessories, and we've only shown you some of them. There's going to be a lot of other ways to play the games on this, and I feel like they're going to have a game like the Wii Sports that's just going to show you what all these cool tools can do in an innovative, simple way. That and that's all Wii Sports was. But it was so amazingly memorable and fun because, it was just that. It was just a simple way to play games that you haven't played them before.
And I think the the possibilities of that are endless. I think there's so much potential with the fact that the controllers are so interchangeable in what they can do fundamentally. Yeah,
I think we're going to be able to clip on totally different things. I think the Joy-Con controllers that we've seen as is, that's just one option. That's just the base option. I think you're going to be able to clip on a variety of different types of controllers entirely.
Yeah, I think maybe there could be a right controller that's more in tune with fighting game style gameplay. You can have different Joy-Con controllers that has the joystick in different positions that'll fit different games better. And, that type of stuff. I think there's a lot of possibility to the fact that Joy-Con controllers are just accessories and aren't hard set.
I could see one like a first-person shooter one that you could actually use. Like the one thing I loved in the Wii was I liked first-person shooters where I could actually aim on the screen with my hand. And that's a feature I would love to get back. And if they made like a Joy-Con that was like a gun with a trigger, and that's just my right hand, but my left hand is still controlling as normal, I would totally pick that. That would make that experience way more interesting to me.
It's who knows what's going to happen.
Right.
We really don't know at this point, but to get back to the question, I'm pretty sure they're going to come out with games that are essentially tech demos for the hardware. Right. That seems pretty natural. All
right, so what about the question about how this is going to be different from the Vita?
This is a bit of a trickier question, I think.
Okay.
Because I do believe the comparison is relatively apt.
Okay, yeah.
In my personal opinion, I think the big difference is how seamless the console and portability experience would be. Yeah. Being able to switch between the two is so seamless. And that's what's going to make it different from the Vita.
Yeah, it was just an unfulfilled promise with the Vita. There was only certain games that could connect in there. You had to do the weird, you had to sync it up with the Wi-Fi. And it was kind of a hassle. It wasn't really worth it in any particular way. And it just didn't work a lot of the times. And that was a big problem. And here's the main thing. The Vita had to compete with the 3DS, right?
Right.
That's what really killed the Vita. I think the Vita could have done okay if it didn't have the greatest handheld system ever developed to date to go against.
Pretty much.
Next to the Game Boy Advance SP.
And the fact that this is Nintendo, they have their pool of IPs that will appeal to people like us.
Right.
The Vita doesn't really have any hard IPs that it can rely on and that people are dedicated to.
Mm-hmm.
So, a Nintendo Switch portable console will be more likely to succeed than something like a PlayStation portable console. As much of a PlayStation fan as I am, that's just the reality of the situation on that aspect.
Right. And the question I've gotten from pretty much everybody, several people asked us on Facebook, on Twitter, and in person. And I think we kind of talked a little bit about this last time, but will we be able to buy the dock and or the tablet separately from each other? Do you
Please. Please, yes, I hope so.
Now, which way do you want it? Do you want them to sell the dock separately, or do you want them to sell the pad separately?
I want there to be multiple docks that I can, attach to different TVs within the household, so I can bring the one tablet around wherever I need it to.
Okay.
I want a single tablet with all of my saves, all of the games saved onto it, that I can dock into any TV that I'm at.
Okay.
I think that's the ideal experience for me.
I'm imagining that, all right, if they did sell one of those two things separately, I do imagine the dock would be the separate purchasable as in basically an accessory. In that, I feel it's going to be cheap. I don't think the dock is going to have we were thinking maybe I don't think it's going to have any kind of RAM boost. I think it's just going to be a convenient connector to a charge and a TV port. Other than that, it's just going to be a piece of plastic that has a nice snapping sound. Thus, I think it's an easy thing to sell for $15.
No, I completely agree with you there. Mm-hmm. I think the dock is the one that's most easily mass produced.
Right.
To have and most easiest to have around as a multiple of.
Right.
Yeah, I don't really see the utility of having multiple tablets, and it would be, harder to sell the tablet by itself.
Right. And you know what? If you need another tablet, I don't think it's that big a deal that, all right, I guess I have to buy the tablet with the cheap dock that's, adding $15 to the $300+ price tag. It's not that big a deal to do that. If you want to buy the dock separate for $15, fine. I don't want to have to buy a $300 tablet to get the extra dock. But the fact that I have to buy another $15 dock to get a second tablet, that's okay. That's not a big deal. And if I use it, I use it. If I don't, I don't. I'm sure people will find uses. In fact, when someone takes out their Switch and they leave it on the bus, or they sit on it somewhere, or it gets run over by a truck, and they buy their second one, and now they're like, all right, well, I guess I got two docks now. I guess I'll hook one up to the basement TV. That'll be fun, right? People won't mind having that second one to go around. Yeah,
and having multiple docks seems to be, have an actual practical use case.
Right.
So, but we'll see.
We'll see indeed. All right. That is our show then for this week.
Yeah.
I gotta say, I said I don't know when the next episode will come out. That's really all in when more stuff to talk about happens, and I'm always collecting it. So,
yeah. We don't really have a specific timeline, do we? But once the console is actually out, we are kind of looking at a maybe bi-weekly, monthly, or weekly thing.
I think I'll stay away from weekly only because I just think for our lifestyles, as people with day jobs, it's hard to do something every week, right? It's very inconvenient and hard to pull off. And I like the fact that I have more time to put this show together with you and actually know everything really well and plan the show out thoroughly, rather than, oh crap, it's Wednesday, I need to do a show tomorrow, let me throw some stuff together to talk about.
Right, yeah. We're to end the show, we're both very passionate about this, and we want to make this podcast as filled with quality and love as possible.
So, if you would like to help us fulfill this passion and keep it going, there are a few ways to do that. JV, you want to tell us about how they can do that?
Yeah, obviously the best way to go is to give us a rating on iTunes. We'd prefer a 5-star rating because that would help us the most, but let us know how you feel. Give us a rating on iTunes. You can also follow us on our Twitter at the SwitchCast, and you can join us on our Facebook group where we have a really bustling community right now.
Yeah, and you could also just tell your friends or anyone you know about us that just spread the word, get more people involved and listening. If you enjoy this show, your friends will love it. So be sure to share it and spread the links around, because the better we do, the better the community gets, and we're all gonna have a lot of fun with this community. I can it's already such a cool group. You guys are so much energy, and I'm not used to it from doing my mobile gaming group. I gotta say that they were serious, kind of calm people, and that's fine. But once I started this with this Nintendo people, they explode with the energy. It's a totally different vibe, energy level.
I guess the thing is, we've always been Nintendo people,
right?
And we've always had that little spark in us for quite a while now. Mm-hmm. And we after a while we kind of veered off to work on broadening our horizon. But now that we're back in our Nintendo home base, it fits us like a glove right now.
It does. It's a natural fit for us.
And yeah, as the SwitchCast, we definitely want to foster that community and get that down and dirty with you guys on this console.
And I think the thing that I do want to stress also about both of us, I feel at least, we're not fanboys, right? We're willing to look at this and analyze. Like, if we're not just liking the Switch because we're Nintendo fanboys who are going to squeal over everything. We've drifted because things didn't interest us for a while, but now we're back because this is super exciting and we feel confident about it as a product.
Right, exactly. We're never gonna be shy to criticize anything that Nintendo does if we feel it warrants criticism.
Right.
But I definitely want to stress, Nintendo is in our roots. We do have love for this company and what they do, and I'm excited to be out there in the trenches with everyone.
Awesome. All right. So what should we tell them until next time, everybody?
Switch it up?
Yeah, let's switch it up.